Hey guys, what's up? I'm tyDi, and right now you're watching Only the Beat. Well, Redefine was a 3-year project, so it actually started almost straight after I finished my 2011 album, Shooting Stars. That album was the second album I'd ever done, but by that time I'd had a good grasp of what an album should be. It's not just a bunch of 10 of your best tracks, it has to tell a story, it's a portfolio. And then when I finished that and it was released, I was so inspired I started writing new songs. So from 2011 till the start of this year, I was working on music, and I wrote about 300 songs to get to the 20 that made it on Redefine. So to answer your question, there wasn't an exact point where I said I'm going to change my style. It was 3 years of writing, and the Redefined album came out of just what I thought was the best, the highlights of those 3 years, the songs that stuck with me the most. A lot of people get me on this. So with songwriting, the way I write tracks is I'm often writing the lyrics and working with songwriters. So a lot of these bands I worked with for Redefined, we write the song before I produce it, which means we sit down in a room, I'll play the chords and the melodies, and we'll sit down and we'll throw a concept around. So before we even start the track, we'll go, okay, what's this going to be about? And then we sit down and we write a song around that concept. And the song can be written but not recorded, so it can be all just maybe like voice memos, or we remember the chords and we remember some of the lyrics. So I wrote 300 songs but didn't produce them all, and then when it came to the final composing the album, then I produced all of the tracks into what it was. It was the first album where I approached it in the sense of I always wanted to be in a band. And the way a band would write a song is they would sit around in a room and write songs, Whereas in the DJ world, it's very commonly about a guy on a computer making a beat. He makes a beat that he thinks is fat and goes, this beat is sick, and then emails it across the world to a singer or a writer or a vocalist, and then he or she cuts a vocal and then sends it back, and it's very detached. It's very, here's a beat I've made, now please put a top line to it. I didn't want to approach any of my music like that anymore. I wanted to really sit down and write these songs like a band would. So Redefined was kind of the new me, the way I'm approaching writing music and getting really heavily involved in the songwriting myself, taking everything from a concept to a finished track, seeing it right through. I don't just send things off to people and hope for something good. Some of the names you wouldn't my fans would be surprised that I'm inspired by. Avicii, Zed, is it pronounced Blau? Steve Aoki has a track that I just remixed called Neon Future of his new album, and I announced it on Twitter that I just did a remix for him, and everyone was very surprised because he's far off from what I've done. But I don't think my fans should be surprised anymore by anything I do. With Redefined, to kind of circle back to what you said before, is this album, what's the name mean? It's kind of like me being completely liberated. That album is 20 tracks and not one track sounds like anything else. I think if anything, that album should be a statement to my fans and to everyone saying that don't expect anything from me. Don't expect me to be under a certain genre or style. Because it's fun, it's awesome. These are the people that are I don't have much of a crazy life outside music. DJing, producing, songwriting, and being an artist isn't my job. It's not my side hobby. It is my life. I am tyDi isn't a false character. I am exactly the guy you see on Twitter and Facebook, and the songs I write and the stories they're about. They're true. This album, Redefined, I bet you'll find 19 out of the 20 songs are true stories that happened. From the worst of times to the best of times, and the stuff I write on Twitter is stuff that when I'm either, it could be in a great mood or a terrible mood or whatever. It's all me, and so replying to fans, it's not a thing I have to do or feel the need to do. These people are coming to my shows, they're showing love, they're making me. They've made my dream come true. So yeah, it's easy to reply to people because I want to. I do get in trouble by some like, you know, friends and ex-girlfriends when I'm at the dinner table and I'm under the table replying people, but yeah, I'm addicted to social media, but I don't see anything wrong with that. I've always loved trance, and my fans who've known me since day one know that I got into dance music through trance, and so I did all that. I did trance, and I kind of wanted to move on and try new things, which I think any artist should. It's like, I always draw the analogy, if you're a painter, you don't want to just paint pictures of beaches your whole life. You'll get bored. You want to change what you're drawing, and as a musician it's the same. I wanted to try new sounds and new songs, and when I did Stay for the first time, I was kind of inspired by Avicii's stuff at the time, and then a few of my fans, I was reading some almost hate, like fans were saying, like, have you abandoned us? Have you forgotten that where you came from, that trance made you? And the promise was kind of like an answer to that, because I was reading these messages and I went, like, come on guys, I haven't forgotten how to make trance. So I went, let's completely flip it on its head. I'm gonna do it for you. I'm gonna make 5 tracks that are trance. I'm gonna put it out in 3 weeks, and you guys are gonna buy it, and I'm gonna give all your money to a charity. And it was kind of turning a really negative thing into a really positive thing, and it's going great. We're raising a lot of money for a charity to help children in developing countries, and it's growing, and it worked, so I'm happy about that. I remember being asked this question at the end of 2011, and they said, what are you doing now? After you've just put out Shooting Stars, what are you doing now? And it's kind of a scary question, because you've just put out the biggest project you've ever done. And it is like that. I'm back in the abyss of creating again, and maybe 2 years from now we'll be sitting down and I'll have a new album to tell you about. But I can tell you I'm working with artists I've never worked with before at the moment. I've probably already written about 20 tracks since Redefined, and they're just going to keep coming and coming until eventually I have a project that I go, this is it, this is the next thing. Hopefully now, in 2014, I've shown people that I did Redefined, and then at the very last minute I did the Promise EP, which is trance. So now I think I hopefully have satisfied everybody and all my fans, and people can just see where I take it next. I've got some surprises up my sleeve that I'm not going to announce until the new year, but I think it's going to be my biggest hit yet.